Live from the Dick Keefe studio at our beautiful, and I mean beautiful, senior high school, and it really is gorgeous. These kids are so fortunate, that this has happened a few years back, and it's still great, and that's good. Good for the future. Tom Cummings, along with Michaela Hurley, bring you Norwood Table Talk. Sponsor, J.C. Jacobs Plumbing and Heating, 1156 Washington Street, 781-762-1600. Our guests for the next hour, Selectman David Ajar and Matt Lane. Thanks, you guys, for coming on.
Thank you, Tom.
Along with Town Engineer and Public Works Administrator, Mark Ryan. Thanks, Mark, for coming by and taking some time out after you. I'll bet you had a long day today.
Nice to be here, Tom. Thank you.
Some of our topics this afternoon, Norwood Hospital. Wow, Norwood Hospital update. I'm not happy, I'll tell you. I'm not happy. And where are we doing, or how are we doing on our street paving on the November 3rd ballot? Question number 2, ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting. That could be a big change for our Commonwealth. A big change. We'll talk about that. Dean Street Bridge, how is that doing? Planning Board goes before the Board of Selectmen to discuss their proposals for some big changes on Route 1. That's another one that's going to have many meetings, I'm sure. Recent hazardous waste day, I think that went pretty well too. Panel talks to the camera with their own topic. We'll see how well they do. That's kind of something new a little bit that I put in there. Veterans Day, Wednesday, November 11th, when we honor all our veterans. Flags along Washington Street. We have to do that. We have to have them hanging up to honor me and the rest of the veterans. Got to do that, guys. Got to do that. Norwood Scholarship Fund dinner recently, helping our students fund higher education. My commentary this afternoon is, first of all, I want to thank Selectman Matt Lane. Matt, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Tom.
His first appearance on Norwood Table Talk, and he'll still certainly be on many times, I'm sure, in the future. Also thank David for filling in for Joan Jacobs. She's okay, just had a little problem, and everything's good. Now, I'm not blaming anybody about the serious situation we are in, not having an emergency location to bring someone who needs immediate emergency care. I'm not blaming anybody for that. I know it's a problem, but our fire department is the greatest in addressing an emergency situation ambulance. When somebody has to have an ambulance, they're right there for you. But now they have to take you out of the area. If somebody had to go to an emergency right up to Norwood Hospital, 1 mile, 2 miles, at the most, a much longer distance now to help one who needs immediate medical attention. Everyone, but most of all, our seniors could be in a very serious situation. And that's fact, that's real, that's there. Remember, every minute counts. We have to do something and do it yesterday. Please. Okay, I'm going to turn that over to Matt. And Matt, you want to chat about that a little bit and tell us what could happen and what could not happen?
Sure. Yeah, it's. I think it's an unfortunate situation, and it's unfortunate what happened. I think as a town, we can just try to do whatever we can to spur whatever, redevelopment, or just to be a partner to get the hospital rebuilt. It's one of those things where it's, we don't own the hospital. It's not our business. It's not, the town doesn't own it. And as much as we'd like to see it rebuilt immediately, I think there's a lot of logistics that go into that. I think initially they were talking about maybe being able to open up the emergency room, but I think there were some complications, and I'm by no means an expert, but I think the same as what you're saying, Tom. It would be great to get it back up, but it might be a different hospital when it gets back and running, which could be really beneficial to us down the line. It's just something that doesn't happen overnight.
That's right.
Yeah. David?
Well, just to chime on, when it first unfortunate happened, Norwood Hospital stepped up and said, we're going to do our best to get an emergency room up and running within 60 days. Then they extended it to 90 days. And at the same time, they're trying to make an evaluation of the entire complex, which was very difficult. And it took a lot of time because different consultants and vendors had to come in, including the insurance company. That took longer than anticipated. And they're also trying to plan for, okay, what do they want to look like in a few years? So there were really three things that they were trying to do at the same time. And it became obvious that everything wasn't going to happen on the schedule that they were hoping for. So yes, our town, and there are 12 or 13 other towns around us that use Norwood Hospital for emergency drop-offs, they're out too. They have to go to Brockton, they have to go to Bethesda in Needham, or they have to go to West Roxbury, someplace other than Norwood. So everyone's hurting a little bit. But the main point is we need to work with them to identify what they want to look like in a few years. There's probably some zoning changes that they're going to request so that they can build a larger and or taller type of facility. I think infrastructure-wise, according to the town manager, we seem to be in good shape with them. We may come in with a secondary electrical feed so that if they lose power, they are fed from a different source, from a different area, so that they don't get stuck with no power. But there's only so much the town can do. It really is up to Stewart and them coming forward, but they are working on plans. I mean, to their credit, they're working. They are trying to find an alternative to their emergency room because the logistics of trying to keep it up and running at the hospital that they want to tear down, it's extremely difficult. So they've been trying to find an area in or around Norwood where they could open up an emergency room that like the local 13 towns that were using.
So that's good. I didn't know that, David.
Yeah.
You know, I really,
They
I
are
just
tr-
thought
they
it
are-
was,
they are trying.
You know, I
They
just
are
thought it
trying.
wasn't going to be
Yeah.
addressed. You know.
So,
Okay.
for example, the old Norwood ambulatory care off of Route 1,
The urgent care?
urgent care, they moved out. And so they made an evaluation of that site, but there's too much regular commercial traffic there at that intersection, then going into the lot, that it didn't work out. So they are looking at locations that might work out, they would use as a temporary while they do something with the hospital, which has yet to be formally proposed to the planning board.
That's great. Gee, you just made me feel like I'm going to live another 10
Good,
years. David.
good,
I mean,
good.
I mean that. I
Good.
didn't know that.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I've had a lot of calls, you know, that people, especially from seniors, you know, and they're concerned. But anyways, Mark, what do you think?
Well, Tom, you know, to back up what David and Matt said, they are actively engaged right now to make a final decision on what they're going to do here. You know, they're not just sitting around waiting to make a decision.
Yeah.
There's engineers that are calling us, getting information because, you know, for site development, zoning changes are going to be occurring probably to allow some changes down there, maybe taller buildings, parking garages. It's not going to happen overnight, but you know, I think ultimately we're going to end up with an amazing facility, and we just have to be a little patient. And you know, local urgent cares are going to probably pick up a lot of these smaller incidents, and then the more serious one are going to have to go to the nearby, the Sturdies, I don't know if Newton Wellesley, the VA, but you know, and talk about your fire department. You know, at fire department, I mean, Tom, I don't know if you've talked about that, how they evacuated that building and no
Okay.
incidents at all. I mean,
Yeah.
amazing after that storm, June 28th, and
Yeah, pretty unbelievable.
It's
some of the
incredible.
stories.
yeah.
So we're in the ball game. I mean, it's not like it's not
yeah.
going to happen.
The-
See, that's
The key is we want to find ways to work with them and not come across as, this is what you're going to do, this is how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, they are a private company. We want them to be here. It's not just for taxes, but it brings other businesses around, medical doctors and situations like that. So it's good to have them. And so we want to try to find ways that are realistically that we can work with them
Yeah,
to
you
do
gotta
what
work
they
with
need.
them, of
So
course.
absolutely. Right.
yeah. Boy, that's good news. It
Yep,
really is.
it is.
You know, I would suggest that Matt and David, that if it comes to pass that we're going to have an emergency situation room, so somebody go to, I suggest you get that out there immediately. You know, have the town manager go on like he does on Facebook or whatever, and get the message out. because people are. I'm uptight. I really am about it.
Yeah,
you know, I got numbers on me, and you know, I want to. I feel so much better. Am I satisfied? No, but I feel so much better right now. I really mean that. You know, I
Well,
really
this is
feel
what we
good.
don't
That's
control,
good news.
so
Yeah.
I
we're
think
at
if
the
there-
mercy
if there's
of.
any update, you'll hear it from Tony.
Yes, yes.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, all right. By the way, I had a great chat with Norwood Fire Chief George Morris the other day and asked him if the ambulance would transport me, a veteran, or any other veteran, to the VA hospital at West Roxbury. Strong yes. All you veterans, a strong yes. And many other hospitals, too. He was very good, and I just want to let you guys know, you know, and he really was good, you know. Okay, that's good. All right, so on the Norwood Hospital now, okay, because we have two issues here in the emergency room. Now, on the Norwood Hospital, David, is some, you know, is a little bit of progress being made, hopefully?
Yeah, there is progress. I think Mark said that they're constantly calling different departments within the town to find out about information on file or what they're allowed to do today versus what they want to do tomorrow. So I think you're going to see that come out over the next few months. They'll come up with something, and we need to work with them in the best way possible to ensure that their needs are met and that we're not being trampled on regarding zoning or regulations and whatever. So I have every confidence in the world that this town is going to see a very bright future with a wonderful Norwood Hospital at some point that's going to be state-of-the-art, and it's going to be great. I think the only thing that's been conveyed to Norwood Hospital is that they probably need to do more updates than what they do to ensure that town officials at least publicly know what they're thinking, why they're thinking of doing what they're doing, whatever. But other than that, they are really moving full steam ahead on the three different issues that we talked
That's
about.
great news. Another great set of news. Yeah. Matt, what did you want to add to that?
I agree with what David's saying. One thing, though, and not to put Mr. Ryan on the spot, but I'm just interested, too, is that, you know, you think, what if this happens again? You know, and is there anything that we can do proactively? I know that the amount of rain that fell was, you know, biblical, and that nothing would have slowed that down. But are there things that we can do? And I'm sure with a redesign, those would be incorporated.
Right, yeah. So Matt, you know, the redesign would certainly not put all your mechanical room at the bottom floor that everything drains to. So that was really a design flaw on their part. The Norwood system performed as well as it could, considering the storm event. But what are we doing on the capital outlay? You know, Norwood Hospital, Norwood Center, that whole area, 980 acres, drains to the Meadowbrook, which is near Murphy Field, and you're within the Meadowbrook. And back in '04, we did a drainage study, and that sort of sat in the shelf, and it never really rose to the top in the capital outlay. So it's two parts of it are on the capital outlay for this November to start working our way up from the Meadowbrook. That's where you start to strengthen the system, is at the low point. So we are going to make some progress on that, and ultimately, you know, not that this is these two projects will help Norwood Hospital right away, but it's part of the solution for the whole downtown.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Norwood is, you know,
Yeah.
at least going to go to town meeting.
Full
with that.
disclosure, I'm on capital outlay. I teed that one up for Mark.
Oof.
Yeah. So, well, let me ask you. You remember a few years ago when they were Norwood Hospital was thinking of taking another building. You remember that right there, right beside the railroad station, you know, Norwood Central. They were thinking of a couple more buildings a few years ago. Remember they came before the. Well, you guys weren't on the board, but they came with their with their model. I wonder if they're thinking about doing that. Do they own that land on the? They don't own that
No,
land.
they don't own that land.
No.
Okay. Do you remember what I'm saying, David? Because it goes back a few
Vaguely,
years.
but I don't think it ever became a formal proposal
No.
because there was nothing ever,
Yeah.
you know, put down
Yeah.
in writing. I think they might have talked about it, but even back then, I don't think they owned the land.
Yeah.
They would have had to purchase it.
Right.
But no, someone else does own it with their own thoughts about what they want to do over by the railroad station. So.
Okay. Good. Okay. Anything else? Okay. That's okay. I just want to set up a program like this here. You know, the studio staff, the manager, you know, Megan and Brian, and, you know, to fix it like we are right now, that takes a lot of work. Michaela, Megan Corbett, and Brian Boudreau, I just want to personally thank them for doing this, because they sanitize, they do the best they can so we can do a show like this here.
great.
And all this problems we have, here we are at the studio doing a show with 3 people, which isn't an easy situation, okay? So I just want to personally thank them, you know. Okay, I'm going to turn to you, Mark. How are we doing with our street paving? We doing okay?
Yeah, we're moving right along. So the contract was awarded to LaRusso Corp. and $1.6 million project, and we've done quite a bit of work as far as paving. Nichols Street, you've seen just out front, and Rosemary and Chickering and Walters and Laurel Lane, and a lot of sidewalk work, included that on Bond Street and Wheelock and Maple and Berwick Street next to DAV Park. So we're moving right along. Today we started what we call cold planing, where we remove the top 1.5 inches of asphalt. We're going to be doing Access Road, we're going to be doing Berwick Street, we're going to do Bond Street.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
we've got quite a bit going on. I forgot to mention Ridge Road and East
Nice.
Cross Street are paved, Edge Hill's been paved, so there's a lot going on. So
Do you feel like, Mark, do you feel like you're making progress? I mean, you know, and it's always going to be there. I mean, it's not going to go away. But you feel like you're making some inroads in our streets so we'll be more comfortable?
we are. For many years, we relied on the state funding, the Chapter 90,
Yeah.
as it's called, and that's all we used. And for many years, we didn't get that much because the big dig was, you know, siphoning away a lot of the available funds. And so we just used the Chapter 90 funds. And the last few years, we've supplemented that with taxpayer
Yeah.
funding, and
Yeah.
that really helps keep up, or try to catch up, I should say, to getting the roads done. So we're making a lot more progress than we
Yeah,
used to
nice.
in the past.
Yeah.
Now,
And Mr.
yeah, now the other-
Mizuko's talking about
Yeah.
some even additional more money towards
Yeah, I was
this.
just going to ask you that.
So,
Is that going to happen now with the
well, that's-
possible budget cuts, because we could be in a little bit of a bind?
yeah, it's going to be a challenge, but it'll go to town meeting. And I can remember many a times you saying you're going to open up your checkbook for this,
Yeah.
Tom. So
Okay.
it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, we also have the override dollars that were allocated just for roadways, at least on the general government side. So that's in addition to additional tax money in Chapter 90. So we have put a lot of money in. I'll just say this about, there are a lot of things that are coming to the table with regards to funding, and we're going to get to some of them. But you have the roadway money that he would like. There's the water infrastructure, drainage infrastructure, which is huge amounts of money. There's the whole relining issue that we may try to fund. So at some point, we have to pick our priorities and pick off the ones, and then you say, okay, that's all we can afford for now. And maybe, you know, in a couple more years, we'll pick up, you know, sections 3, 4, and 5. Who knows? But you at least have to put everything on the table so we know what we're dealing with, and then try to set our priorities over the next year and say, okay, this is all we can afford, but we got to tackle it. The one thing that bothered me about, first of all, it's a great study that Mark gave us about the Meadowbrook. It provided a lot of details about what the issues were and how to combat them. I would, the follow-up, before, I know he's updating the study, but part of it is, what exactly will we solve when we complete certain sections? And I think that was one piece that we need to find out. We know, we say, okay, at the end of the day, we believe that if we complete all these issues, we will have a pretty damn good system that's going to take care of most of the rainstorms that come around here. But I think we have to break it down, as the study did, into different sections. Say, okay, what is it that we hope to accomplish at the end of that phase 1? What are we going to see? Because we want to be able to tell everybody, this is going to get us that. And it doesn't, you know, that didn't really come out saying it, but it was disheartening that we had to go back all the way to 2004, 2009, whatever the study was done, and nothing's been done. So I commend Tony and his team for bringing all these things back up and putting it before the board and say, hey, that's our job. Our job is to look at all these issues, prioritize, and then move forward so that we can get some of these things over and done with, because we have to do it.
So David, your thinking is, which I've been concerned about, is this water problem, and we may improve in that. That's,
Yeah,
I mean, that has to happen. If we get a hurricane, we're in trouble. I'm
Okay,
telling you
but,
right now.
I
We
hope
are
you
in
heard
trouble.
what Mark said.
Yeah.
There isn't anything that we could do that would have prevented damage from the storm on June 28th.
Okay, fair enough.
All
Yep.
we can do is prepare for even above average storms, which the study does. You know, we're not just picking the 10-year storms. We're going higher than that standard. But we can't build a system for a storm that we got on June 28th throughout the town. We would be in bankruptcy.
Yeah. Okay, Matt, anything you want to add to that? Anything else?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, just along the same lines, I think
Yeah.
prioritizing and
Oh,
planning
yeah,
out is
absolutely,
great. And,
yeah.
you know, the work that's being done now, we're in a good position to be
Yeah.
doing it because of things like the overrides. That was really
Yeah.
helpful. And, you know, I live right by the Veterans Park. It looks great. Those sidewalks have been
Yes.
hurting for a long time. And it really looks beautiful, and it's going to be a really nice finished
Right.
product.
Nice. Mark, I got to ask you about Railroad Ave.
Yes.
What's happening with that?
Yep, so we started excavating last week at
Oh,
Railroad
did you?
Ave.
Oh, okay. I don't
So-
go up there because, you know, I'm a small guy and you get
So
bounced
it's a little
around.
bumpy,
you know.
knock you around. So we're
You
gonna
know.
be doing Railroad Ave this year from Pleasant to Cleveland Street.
Nice.
And then next
When
year,
will that be finished? Ooh,
well, we're gonna start laying granite next week.
nice.
So, you know, talking granite curb, concrete sidewalks. So that's gonna take a couple weeks, and, you know, you'll probably be paving the end of November.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now my other pet peeve with all the pollution flying around is down in Pleasant Street, down in near the asphalt plant. Anything on that? That's still a tough area to drive. Is that still hanging there for a while, maybe more?
You're
know.
talking about improving the
The asphalt
road?
plant, yeah, doing the street, you know, and the bridge and all, you know. Is that?
Yeah, so, I mean, one of the recommendations would be each year we get so many cents per ton that's produced there,
Yeah.
and it's given to the town for the maintenance of Pleasant Street from the plant to out to Dean Street. And,
Yeah.
you know, one of the options could be to use that money that will be available. I think we have 90,000 now, it might be 120 after this year, and, you know, improve the pavement along there. You know, granite curb and
Yeah.
concrete sidewalks maybe, but that's in the works.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I think the selectmen should be thinking very serious about that. Cause I've been talking about that now for how long? Oh, a long time, really.
Yeah.
You know. But anyways, okay. Anything else? Okay, on the ballot on the November 3rd, voting day is November 3rd. Okay, the ballot on the ballot. Question number 2. Hear me for a second now. Question number 2. Ranked choice voting, and that's going to change the way we do things. We vote. And it's a big deal, it really is. And I'm going to let Matt Lane tell us a little bit about it, if you will, Matt. And
Sure, yeah, I'm
what's
by
happening.
no means an expert, but I'm familiar with what it is. So it's really, it's on the ballot. It's been talked about, I think, for many years, and now it's on. It wouldn't, if it passed, I don't think it would be enacted until 2022, so there's some time to adjust. But really what it is it allows voters to give a preference. So I think the best example is if the 4 of us were running for something, you know, this is like a statewide race, a Congress, something. If there are 2 people in the race, it's irrelevant. You know, it's whoever gets the most votes wins. But when you have 2 or more, you know, 3 or more, ranked choice is, it really, it allows you to rank the candidates in order of preference. And the idea behind it, I think the people that are for it say it makes a voter think about a wider array of issues. So the best way to explain it is if the 4 of us were running and nobody got 50% of the vote, and so you got, I even wrote 30, Tom got 30, David got 28, Mark got 24, I got 18. Didn't do so well. If it was a ranked choice, if that was law, I would drop out, and everyone that voted for me, the 18%, I was their number 1 choice. But I didn't crack the top 4, so or top 3. So presumably everyone that voted for me would have, when they voted, they had a second choice and a third choice and a fourth choice. So I drop off, and everyone that voted for me as their first choice, now their second choice, who, let's say, it was David, now David picks up, if everyone that voted for me, their second choice was David gets that 18%, and now he's a lot closer to having that 50% threshold. So, I think people who don't think it's a great idea are really kind of think in that mentality of one, there's one vote, one man, one vote, and it's tradition, it's the way it's always been. So it's an interesting concept. I won't really talk about my preferences for it, but I think you have people that feel like it gives more, it's more democratic in the sense that,
Okay.
if you're campaigning and you're trying to reach as many voters as possible, and so you have a broad platform, and in that sense, it's good. But also there are people that think that, if someone only voted for David and he wasn't in the top, you're kind of disenfranchising those people because they might not have had a second choice, which is, that's their choice too, to only vote for one person. So there's both sides of it. I think it's an interesting position. There are Cambridge, that they're a ranked choice municipality, and so like their city council and their school committee are voted in on ranked choice, because and Maine actually is the first state that is having ranked choice for the presidential election. So that'll be interesting. Next month's election.
So it's individual cities and towns that are doing it. So, okay.
But this on the ballot would be statewide.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be for a local race like a selectman or anything like that. These would be for statewide.
Statewide.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark, what do you think?
I first saw it a few weeks ago when I saw Maine. I thought it was, it had a lot of merit, to make it more equitable, the whole voting, and I'd have to really analyze it. But I know what I read for this one, it doesn't include the presidential, but I was just it was interesting to hear Maine's going to allow it for the presidential. So that's really
pretty
that's
wild.
really interesting, and it has a lot of merit, I think, Tom. I haven't really done a lot of research on it,
Yeah.
but you go in there and you vote, and your person doesn't win, but it'd be nice to have a second choice there that because you might be a little in between a couple of people. And
Yeah.
this would be my one, and this is my two, and how often would it be enacted is the other thing.
Right.
Really.
Well,
Right, because
true.
if you do, you run a great campaign and people get behind you, you get 60% of the vote, but there's 6 candidates, doesn't come into play.
Right.
So I think it incentivizes, a good campaign. So
Yeah.
I agree.
David, what do you think?
I'm still on the fence on this one.
Yeah.
I think there are good arguments for it, but I think you're also counting on the electorate to be really up on trying to identify their second, third, and fourth choice.
right.
Traditionally, we walk into the ballot box and we know who we're going to vote for or the issue that we're going to vote for, and we check it off and say, okay, and they're done. Now you're asking them to pay attention because your second vote could be as important as your first vote, and then your third vote and fourth vote. I have concerns about the logistics of putting having the second and third vote count as much as it would in a scenario where someone doesn't get over 50%. So
Okay.
I'm not saying I'm totally against it. I will say I'm probably not in favor of it right now, but I am open to the different discussion points about it to see if it really would make a difference.
Okay. See, my personal view is, and I haven't looked at it too much. I did read it though, what Matt just told us, and I think if you had maybe 6 candidates running, I would seriously consider it. I really would. But if there's 4, 3, 2, whatever, 3 or 2, I have some concerns with
Yeah.
it. And where is it? Does anybody know where it is? What's the odds of it passing? Or is there any?
From what I've read, I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. I don't know what kind of polling is really happening right now because so much energy is probably focused on the presidential. But I do know that so Joe Kennedy's seat, that he gave up to run for Senate, you know, that was an interesting race because I think if you had ranked choice, it would have turned out differently. The guy that ended up winning,
Yeah.
he had about 24%.
Good point.
But then, you know, there were a lot of candidates that had very similar positions on things, and he was kind of more of a centrist Democrat, and you know, had his base that he got to vote for him. But there wasn't a whole lot of separation between the 2 through 8 or whatever it was.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, if you had ranked choice, it might have turned out differently. So it's an interesting thing to examine because there are a lot of these examples of elections that have happened over the past few years where they would have probably turned out different. And so, yeah, like David said, I think that
Yeah.
a lot of people are kind of on the fence about it, and hopefully people can do homework between now and
Yeah,
the election.
They should read. Yeah, they should read.
I think
up
you'll
on it,
see a
yeah.
lot of it. I think you'll see people talk about it over the next.
Yeah, they
4
did get a
weeks.
brochure on it, so you
Yeah,
should
the-
maybe
the
take
Red
a
Book talks about it.
peek.
Yeah.
Anything else on the mark? Do you have anything else?
No, I
Yeah.
think what
Yeah,
Matt said, I
okay.
mean, we got to educate the people on this. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
is-
Because people are not going to do. People just get the ballot and
Yeah.
Yeah.
and and that's not good.
It's-
Okay, I want to turn to David. David, the Rotary Club. You want to talk a little bit about
yes,
the Rotary
yes,
Club? Or you have some things you want to say?
I just wanted, the Rotary it's the Neponset Valley Sunrise Rotary Club, and we encompass Dedham, Westwood, and Norwood. And we do a lot of different fundraising to help out a lot of different groups in the town. We've helped the Circle of Hope, the Reach Out and Read, the Prescott School, the Norwood Food Pantry. So there are a lot of different programs that we raise money for. And I just, we have a duck race on October 24th of this year. And if you go online to www.nvsrotaryevents.org, so nvsrotaryevents.org, you can see all the things that the organization does and the upcoming duck race. It's not something that you can attend, but you can buy ducks that we throw into the river on the Charles, and the stream takes them down. The first duck will win 1,000. The second duck wins 500. So you have a good choice. But more importantly, you can identify what charity. It has a drop-down window. You can pick what charity you want your donation to go to, and it is a donation. It's a 501c3 corporation, and so it's fun for the kids, and also helping out the charity and the Rotary. So just wanted to mention that and say thank you to everybody.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, the Dean Street Bridge, Mark, the Dean Street Bridge, is that, what's happening with that? That's pretty close to,
yep, so we started work on July 27th, so that's when Dean Street was closed to through traffic. And, the first week or so, it was a little hectic with people trying to figure out the detours, but we've got enough orange signs out there that can get people where they're going. And the project's moving along very well. The weather accommodated us, we're in a drought, so.
So it's working out pretty well.
We're working on a brook, so the road's opening tomorrow, just about noontime. We'll open it up to through traffic, so it's,
nice.
we're basically, all we got left tomorrow is go in there, paint the pavement markings, center lines.
Really?
7
Wow.
7 a.m. in the morning, and then shortly after that, the road will be open and
That's
the
great.
project will be done.
Boy, that's good news, Mark. It really
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
Because people are anxious, you go around or wherever, and dangerous, kind of a little bit, because all the traffic jammed up down there. And, that one bad intersection we have in Route 1 and, all that area, that's a tough area, it really is. That's good news, Mac, that
Yeah.
really is, Okay, anybody, anything else? on
Well,
that?
I just
Yeah, go ahead, David.
I just want to thank Mark and his team. And I know it wasn't just their effort. They had to work with the state from design all the way through construction. And whether we wanted to or not, it was something that had to be done. The state, we were fortunate enough, paid for half of it.
Yep.
So it needed to be done, but as I said, it was a really good team effort between the town and the state. And it'll soon be over, and I think that'll
Oh, yeah,
take care
that's
of us
gonna
for
be
the,
great.
for the next,
Really, you know.
hopefully, 70 to 80 years.
I would think so.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, that's really,
good.
that's great, Mark. Really,
Yeah,
it's great
and-
news. Tell your guys that whatever effort they put into it, we thank them. We really do.
Just
Thank
to
you.
add to that, Tom, and also doing a project like that during a pandemic,
Oh, yeah.
this challenge
right.
that no one expected. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Okay, let's. I want to bring up the meeting that the planning board recently had with the board, Board of Selectmen, and I'll tell you, on a very trying situation. It was very difficult. The studio did a marvelous job, in my opinion. Okay, of getting as many people you could see right in front of you. And it wasn't easy. A spectacular job, I think. I thought the planning board's presentation. Those guys, they're really good. It's the director and the assistant director did a great job, and they made their proposals, and then Board of Selectmen had their counteract on it, and they made some comments about it, and they're going to do more research on it and chat more and more and more. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was really impressive, and it was a lot of work, and to be able to ask questions and really get a sense for how the proposal came about and what went into it. I think it's great. I think we're going to meet a couple more times over the next few weeks to try to fine tune some things and provide some feedback. But the planning board and the consultant they hired did a great job, and I think it's a really neat proposal and an opportunity to do something nice to Route 1 that potentially could spur some development there. So yeah. I think it's great. I'm still in the learning phase for a lot of that, but it's
Matt.
great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I take a lot of cues from David because David digs into the details.
The Route 1, you guys chat about it a little bit, but this is a new ballgame. We're talking about it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort on the planning board and the Board of Selectmen, the town manager, even Mark Ryan's Public Works will get involved in it, I'm sure, because they stick their nose helping all the time, and that's why he has a great department, really. Anything on that, Mark? Route 1, what do you think?
I think it's long overdue that we start analyzing
big time,
what we want Route 1 to be. And
Yeah.
we've sort of been identified as the auto mile, and that's all there is on Route 1. And what other options are there? And there's a study there on what kind of benefit different uses provide Norwood, job-wise and revenue-wise, and there are some other uses out there that could provide Norwood a lot more tax base than some of these auto dealerships. So, we welcome that they've been here, but that shouldn't be our go-to going in the future, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to be something. David, what do you think?
Well, for those of us that have been advocating for what does Norwood want to look like 10, 15, 20, 25 years from now.
Ooh.
This goes back to last year when the planning board tackled downtown. And we made huge changes to allow for greater density, higher buildings, to spur development. And we may yet have to make some minor changes again to spur that development, but we've had a lot of interest. Route 1, the study, handled greatly by Paul Halkiotis and Patrick, the second command, Duchesne's, and the planning board. They hired a very good consultant that helped them with the downtown to look at it. And it was very extensive, very detailed, and yet they were able to summarize it to say, hey, these are the issues. So Matt's correct. We are going to have additional meetings with the planning board to talk about this, but I urge, and that was going to be my one subject is, there are a lot of things going on in this town that's going to come up over the next year. And individuals need to pay attention so that they're not surprised of hearing of the decisions. Be a part of the process. Give your input to your elected officials. And let them make the best decision based on input and based on information that's provided from the people that we pay to provide us that information. Our own department heads as well as consultants that we hire that are professional in those fields. this is extremely important. Route 1 is really, the 4-mile stretch of Route 1, that's really the major lifeline of the business that goes through this town. So do we want it dominated by just the car dealerships? What I think has been proven is we definitely want them. They're welcome here. We're known as the auto mile. But there are many other very key and meaningful businesses other than auto dealerships that provide jobs and tax revenues to this town, and we need to try to build on that in the right way. And this is how we spur it through zoning. It's not the only way, but it's the major way that we do it. So I encourage everybody to pay attention, call us, write us, do what you want, but give us your opinions, because once the decisions are made, we're going to tackle those issues with plans that are going to focus on achieving those goals.
Okay, anything else on it?
It's very well said.
Okay, I just want to, a couple of things that are not on here. First of all, I want to mention, first of all, the new skating facility, the unbelievable new skating facility. And I just wondering if anybody ever thought about, this is going to be big. Okay, we're going to have some TV shows and all that. That's what I've been hearing. How would they get out of, if they want to get out of Norwood after, hey, if you get some figure, some person that's nationally known, you're not going to play around, and they don't want to play around in Norwood after they do their show, whatever may happen. How would they get out of here? How would they get over to the airport? Would they fly out of Norwood Airport, you think? Or would they go to Logan? It's just something you gotta think about, because it's just like the Patriots. When they have to go, they used to go out of Norwood. Robert Kraft, I guess, used to go out of Norwood and fly out and whatever. How would they do that? Anybody?
So, putting on my airport commissioner hat, you talk about when the Patriots have a home game.
Yeah.
If you take a walk down to Norwood Airport,
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive.
Sure, right down, yeah.
All the jets that come in. They're not bringing the players. I mean, this player's going a big, 737, 767, which has nothing to do with what can be accommodated at Norwood Airport, but it's the private jets. The private people coming in, and it's really impressive. Those people have money. You're going to see the same thing with this skating club. They're going to be coming in and using Norwood Airport, Tom, I guarantee it, because these people have money, all right? And they're not going to want to fly to Logan and then, take a 45-minute commute.
Exactly.
They're going to. This is going to spread out to hopefully forget Westwood Station and have them, go the other way and come to Norwood to stay in hotels and to eat downtown. And what I think, and Dave is probably thinking about it, and Matt, that gravel pit that's across the street that's going on. How about a nice hotel there? I mean, the skating club would be.
Yeah.
Just
amazing. Something you give a little thought about.
I think we're pretty far along in the thinking. Their first event is this coming January, major event. They don't have enough hotel rooms. They've checked with all the hotel arounds. There's only so many that the hotel's allowing them to book. There isn't enough. So we already know, and again, this goes back into Route 1 development. What do we want it to look like? We would love for someone to come in and say, let's put up, a hotel that can have several hundred rooms. It would certainly be used many times over by the skating club and others, because it's going to be a draw. I'm not sure if folks realize how big of a draw this is going to be. This is major.
Yeah.
It really is.
I just want to throw out something at the two selectmen here is keep in mind, don't have the town choke itself. You got to be very careful. You could jam up that Route 1, so it would be like coming out of Logan Airport when I come from Colorado at 6, 7, 8, and 9 o'clock at night, and you can't get the hell out of here. You don't want that to happen. And the planning board and the board of selectmen and town meeting have to take very serious about that. We could choke ourselves. You got enough town that's going to change big time. We know that, okay? And then you got the skating rink, and at some point, Norwood Airport's going to, it's going to increase as the economy grows, it's going to go over there now at the airport. So just keep that in mind. Hey, I just want to cut you out, you guys. I don't want you to talk anymore about that right now because I want to move ahead with a very touchy, a very sincere topic that I have here, and you guys already heard about it. Veterans Day, guys. Veterans Day, Wednesday, November 11th. Now there's 2 selectmen here, and I want you to seriously promise me that we will put those flags up. Honest, I don't tattered flags. I don't want to see it. You know, my son Tom Jr., my grandson Tom III, my granddaughter Katie. We drove up and down a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 months ago maybe, up and down Washington Street, and it was terrible. My grandson says, "Dad, what's the matter with this town? Oh, look at all those tattered flags. And half of them there's no flags all over the place." So please, guys, think about these veterans and on Washington Street and decorate it with the flags of America. That's just my suggestion. If you have any comments on it, you're welcome to say it, but that's my suggestion.
Well,
okay? You got 2 of you there now, so
Well,
we only need 1 more vote.
they're on it. Tom, they're on it, okay?
All right, I hope so. As Judy
Tony
Langone says,
Mizuko has
3 to
made...
2, you win. So you need 1 more to.
No, you don't need a vote. Tony Mizuko's already got the
And
direction.
you know one other thing. Leave
That's
them
it.
up
Let
there.
me finish talking.
Leave them up there. Leave them up there. Don't take them down. Leave them up there.
Well, he wants to talk
Yeah,
about
let
getting
Mark
up there
talk.
first.
All right.
Listen,
Hey.
hey.
But seriously, try to do something. It's good.
No,
Veterans
hey,
would
Tom,
prove it. Yeah.
Tom,
Yeah.
you listening?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, so Tony Mizuko, under the direction of the selectmen, has ordered us to get new flags. And
Really?
Of course.
Wow. Didn't tell me that, David. Come on.
Well-
That's great. Thank you very much, Mark.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what they,
Thank you. That's great. That's real great. It looks so
Yeah.
good. With the music? How's the music going? Anybody know how the music's going?
Yeah, it's great.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Is it on?
Yes.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is on.
Yeah.
Wow, love it.
Just quickly
That's
to go
great.
back though to Veterans Day, I know in speaking with Ted Mulvihill that they're going to do a virtual ceremony and they'll have some taped speakers and Ted's really trying to do whatever we can during these times, but he also gave me some dates that I wanted to throw out there too. That obviously Veterans Day is the 11th, the day before the Marine Corps birthday or celebrations. This is the 245th anniversary of the incorporation of the Marine Corps.
Yeah, nice.
That's the day before. And these are all days where if you're a homeowner and you want to fly your flag, you should do it. October 27th is Navy Day. And I had another one, but I think I lost it. And then if you don't mind, an email came out this afternoon from Chief Brooks. And it's related to Veterans Day. And just real quick, he wrote that it's with great sadness that we announce the passing of Officer Leslie Les LeBlanc, retired Officer LeBlanc.
Oh.
Served 27 years with the NPD from 1965 through 1992, following military service in both the U.S. Army and the U.S. Air Force.
Thank you, Matt, very much for that. Very nice.
Yeah, and Chief Brooks just let us know this
That's
afternoon.
great. Yeah. Okay, you guys had, I kind of pushed the change a little bit, but into the camera and what your topic, Matt, you want to start it? Michaela, can you pick up Matt on that camera that he's going to be looking in? And if you want to just say something,
Sure,
the 2 girls
yeah.
are looking, I love it. But
Oh, to my kids, yep. Hi, Eliza and JP. Eliza and JP are both at the Cleveland School, and it's a little different this year. So really, my heart goes out to all the parents and the teachers and the administrators that are dealing with a really tough situation with school. I think Norwood is doing a great job making it work, making it safe, and I hope that things continue to improve. So I appreciate being allowed to say that. One of the things I just wanted to bring up quickly, if people know, at town meeting, a few projects are going to be presented for the CPC, the Community Preservation Committee, which I'm a member of as a Board of Selectmen representative. And a few of them, I think they're really good projects. One is the Murphy Field basketball court resurfacing. Another is an assessment of the pools, the Hawes Pool and the Father Max Pool, specifically Father Max. Another is an old parish cemetery master plan. And the fourth project is a needs assessment of the Morse House to pay someone to come in and really kind of evaluate what needs to be done there to preserve it, which I think is an important project. I know that the people that have been working on that, Tony Esco and Judith Howard, and those people have been doing a great job in really stressing the importance of keeping a little bit of history of Norwood, while we continue to develop and move forward as a town. You don't want to do it so much that you lose that thread of what the town started as. So some
Thanks, Matt.
pretty good stuff. So thank you,
Yeah,
appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Mark, into the camera?
Yeah,
or,
just quickly, once again, airport stuff. I know a lot of people are anxious with Norwood Airport now that Amazon's coming to Everett Street, and people are saying we're going to become a distribution center for Amazon. It's not going to happen. It doesn't work that way. Amazon, their fleet of aircraft are 737s and 767s. They need a runway length of 7, 8, 9,000 feet. We have 4,000. That's not going to happen. Our runways down there can handle an aircraft that's 67,000 pounds. These 737s and 767s, 315,000 pounds. So it's not going to happen. The longest wingspan in Norwood Airport allowed is 78 feet. The 737s, 767s, 156 feet. It's not going to happen, people. That's not there. And we don't have the distribution system down there to accommodate it. They're not going to bother with Norwood Airport whatsoever. They're going to fly to Hanscom. They're going to fly to TF Green. They're going to any of those other larger commercial airports. So I just want everyone to know that. Don't be concerned that Amazon's going to start making this a hub. It just can't happen, and it won't happen.
Yeah.
It cannot.
Mark, thank you. Great. David?
I just want to reiterate with regards to what's upcoming at town meeting, we've got zoning, and to pay attention to further discussions and meetings, not just about Route 1, further downtown Norwood potential modifications, issues regarding additional roadway infrastructure improvements, drainage improvements, water lining improvements. We have the second, the replacement for the middle school, which is badly needed. So there's a lot, and I don't want to sound like we're going to overwhelm people with all these dollar projects and have the tax rate just zoom up. We talked about earlier about we're going to look at everything, we're going to prioritize and pick what we can afford and move on. But all these things have to be tackled one way or the other. You can't just put it on the shelf and say, well, let's hope we don't have to touch this for another 15 years. And I feel as though sometimes we have done that, not on purpose, it's just that we felt we didn't have the money, we didn't do it. But it's pay me now or pay me later, that old commercial. So when you hear about all this stuff, I don't want the taxpayer to feel like no one's looking out for them. We're all looking out for that. But we just want to make sure that we're looking at all the things that need to be done over the next 20 to 30, 40 years, and then tackle them one at a time. Like my old boss used to say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that's what this is turning out to, all these different projects. It's one big thing, but we do have to tackle them, and we are tackling them, so don't worry.
Thank you, David. Okay, we have about 4 minutes left, and if you guys don't mind, I'd like to say a few words. Anyways,
It's your show.
Your real driver's license, your real ID, driver's license. If you're over 75 and you want to fly, okay, beginning January 2/1, you have to go to registry and you have to make an appointment if you're over 75. I don't want to get into it too much, but I'm going through it right now. So if you want to know some information on it, give me a call, because you need several documents when you go to the registry after you make an appointment, and you want some more information. 781-769-1478, and just give me a call and at any time, and we'll chat. I'll chat with you. So that's very important. Guys, we're kind of running out of time. Anything very quickly, less than 30 seconds, David?
No, I'm good. Hazardous Waste Day was great. It was busier than usual. They had, I think, over 400 cars. Typically, they get like 350. They took in over 7,000 in fees, which was
Nice.
excellent. So they were very busy. It was a little bit slow because of the precautions for COVID, but they got a lot of equipment and stuff that be dropped off. So good for them. Another great time.
30 seconds, Mark? Anything?
Well, I think we all seen what Norwood Center transformed into because of COVID, and it was pretty exciting. And
Nice.
some great things are coming around the corner, Tom. So just
Oh yeah, this town. You could know this. I said this 10 years ago. You won't know this town.
No, but I'm talking.
Yeah,
in
I
the
know. I
next-
understand that, but I'm just saying.
Next
it's
month
great.
or two,
It
you're
really
going to
is,
see
you
some
know?
more stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Matt, anything? 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate
glad
it.
We'll have you back, Matt. Good
yeah,
job.
just,
Really appreciate you coming on.
Oh, please, yeah, be safe and be well. And if you know a teacher, say thank you and
Thank
buy
you.
them a coffee or something else. But
Thank you.
it's a tough time right now to
is.
be in school
Lot
and run
going
a school.
on.
So yeah, but I
really
think
is.
everyone is really showing how resilient we are as a town. So
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, that's it for this show. Michaela and Tom, hope you enjoyed the show. Want to thank the panel, David Ajar, Matt Lane, and Mark Ryan. Our sponsor, J.C. Jacobs Plumbing and Heating, 1156 Washington Street. Our next show is October 28th, inside Norwood. David Ajar and Tony Mizuko, the town manager, and I will call him Mr. Manager. We'll see you next time on the 28th. I have some things to do the next 2 Wednesdays, so I won't be able to do a show. We thank you for watching, and goodbye.